In the harsh, biting cold of the Dakotas, Eli sat shivering alone. He was a blind orphan, barely 10 years old, and the world felt dark and unfamiliar. Not long ago, he had been traveling with a merchant who sold goods across the frontier. But when Eli could no longer keep up due to his blindness, the merchant decided he was a burden. Without a second thought, he abandoned Eli by the side of a snow-covered trail. Eli's heart ached with sorrow and fear. The sound of the winter wind howled like ghosts around him, deepening his sense of loneliness. He couldn't see the swirling snowflakes or the vast wilderness that lay before him. All he felt was chilling isolation. Hunger gnawed at his stomach as he struggled to stay warm. The weight of abandonment pressed heavily on his small shoulders. With every frost-covered breath, Eli fought against despair, longing for someone to help him. Little did he know that fate had other plans that would soon bring him a guardian who would change his life forever. The journey towards healing and friendship was about to begin, leading him from darkness into light. While Eli fought against the harsh winter, another story unfolded in the same unforgiving land. Wian was a Lakota widow, mourning the loss of her husband and children to the conflicts that had swept through their home. The pain of her loss filled her heart, wrapping around her like the cold that lingered in the air. Once a vibrant member of her community, Wian now felt disconnected and alone, longing for the family she dearly missed. With each passing day, she struggled to find purpose amidst her sorrow, often wandering through the snow-covered landscape as if searching for a fragment of her past. Despite her grief, a deep desire to connect with others remained in her spirit. Wian felt a pull towards helping those in need, a spark of hope that flickered within her as she sought out ways to heal not only her own heart, but also those around her. Little did she know that fate would soon intertwine her path with Eli's. As she ventured through the frost-bitten wilderness one fateful day, she would discover a boy who needed her compassion and care, igniting a journey of healing for both their souls. As Wian walked through the snowy landscape, her thoughts were heavy with grief. The biting wind stung her cheeks, reminding her of the pain she carried. Suddenly, her keen ears picked up a faint sound, a low groan, barely audible against the howl of the wind. With curiosity and concern stirring in her heart, she followed the noise until she stumbled upon a small figure lying half buried in the snow. It was Eli. His small body shivered violently, and his pale face was nearly frozen. Wian's heart raced as she knelt beside him, recognizing the desperation in his fragile state. Yet, an internal conflict washed over her. Eli was a white boy from a culture that had often been at odds with her own people. Would helping him bring trouble, or could it lead to something greater? For a moment, doubt flickered in her mind, but as she looked into Eli's blind eyes filled with fear and longing, her instinct to help overpowered any hesitation. Wian gently lifted him into her arms, choosing compassion over prejudice. This decision would mark the beginning of a profound bond between them and set in motion a journey that neither could have anticipated. Wian cradled Eli in her arms as she hurried back to her small shelter, crafted from branches and animal hides. The warmth inside was a stark contrast to the freezing world outside, and she quickly set to work nursing him back to health. First, she built up the fire, its crackling flames offering comfort and light. Gathering her limited supplies, Wian prepared a simple meal of dried meat and berries, knowing Eli needed nourishment to regain his strength. She gently fed him, encouraging him to chew slowly, though communication was not easy. Eli's confusion was evident as he struggled to understand her soft words, shaped by a language he could not fully grasp. Despite the challenges, there was an unspoken connection between them. Wian would often take Eli's hand and guide it to different objects, helping him learn about the world around him through touch. As days passed, their bond began to deepen. Each warm meal and comforting gesture was a step toward healing not only for Eli, but also for Wian, who found purpose in caring for this fragile boy from a different culture. Together, they were forging a path of understanding beyond their differences. As the days turned into weeks, Eli and Wian's friendship began to blossom. Eli would sit close to the warm fire, sharing stories from his memories. He spoke of the bustling towns he had traveled through, filled with lively markets and colorful characters. His vivid descriptions painted pictures in Wian's mind, making her laugh at the silly antics of children playing games or merchants trying to outsmart one another. In return, Wian guided Eli around their small camp, describing the world through her words. She taught him about the animals that roamed nearby, the sound of the rustling leaves, and the way the wind carried stories across the plains. Eli's laughter rang out as he stumbled over small obstacles, and Wian would chuckle, offering gentle guidance to help him navigate safely. During these moments, trust grew between them. Eli felt safe enough to share his fears about being abandoned again, while Wian opened up about her own sorrow and longing for her lost family. Together, they forged a bond filled with warmth and understanding, creating a new family connection that transcended their different backgrounds. This friendship became a source of strength for both as they faced the challenges ahead. As their bond grew stronger, Eli and Wian began to exchange aspects of their cultures. Wian took joy in sharing Lakota traditions with Eli, teaching him about the significance of the buffalo as a symbol of life and sustenance. She explained the importance of respect for nature and how her people relied on the land not just for survival, but as a sacred connection to their ancestors. In turn, Eli's stories captivated Wian, revealing a world she had never experienced. He described the bustling towns with their colorful buildings and the lively markets filled with unfamiliar sounds and smells. As he spoke, she imagined what those places might be like and was inspired by the sense of adventure that came with them. Their conversations opened doors to understanding and acceptance. Wian learned how Eli's life had been shaped by loss and loneliness, while Eli gained insight into the values of community, family, and resilience that defined Wian's world. Through this cultural exchange, both discovered that they had more in common than they initially thought. Their differences became a bridge to greater respect and understanding in a world often divided by prejudice. Despite the warmth of their growing friendship, Eli and Wian faced outside challenges that tested their bond. Rumors spread among the white settlers when they saw Wian caring for Eli. Some viewed it as a betrayal of their community, whispering harsh words about her kindness to a boy from a different culture. One day, a group of men approached Wian, openly accusing her of putting her own people at risk by nurturing a white child. In that moment, Eli could sense the tension pulsing in the air. He felt afraid, but also determined not to let fear dictate his life. Wian stood tall, defending Eli fiercely. "He is not just a boy. He is a friend and part of my family now," she declared. Her voice was steady, resonating with conviction. At the same time, some members of Wian's tribe questioned her decision to help Eli, fearing it would create rifts within their community. Eli then stepped forward, vowing to honor Lakota traditions and demonstrate that their bond could bridge the gap between cultures. In those moments of courage, they found strength in each other, learning to stand against prejudices together while deepening their connection in an often divided world. As Eli and Wian's friendship flourished, their bond began to ripple through both the Lakota community and the white settler population. Some people, once resistant to change, started to take notice of how a grieving widow and an abandoned boy could find strength and understanding in one another. Whispers turned into conversations, sparking curiosity among those who saw them together in the fields or sharing stories by the fire. In the settler community, a few began to reconsider their views on the Lakota people, inspired by Wian's courage and Eli's spirit. They questioned whether coexistence could be possible instead of living under a veil of animosity. Meanwhile, some members of Wian's tribe began to see Eli not merely as a child from another culture, but as a friend worthy of their acceptance. These shifts stirred hope in both communities, igniting discussions that had long been absent. Neighbors cautiously approached each other, with tentative smiles and new ideas on unity, recognizing that perhaps differences could foster collaboration rather than division. As both communities began to reshape their perceptions, Eli and Wian stood at the center of a growing movement, illustrating that bonds formed in compassion could heal even the deepest scars left by conflict. One fateful day, a severe storm swept through the Dakotas, bringing with it heavy snowfall and dangerous winds. The fierce conditions trapped members of both the Lakota tribe and the white settlers in their homes, leading to a sense of urgency and fear. As resources dwindled, tensions began to rise again between the two communities. Eli, sensing the growing anxiety, urged Wian to suggest a meeting between the tribes and the settlers to share what little supplies they had left. With her heart racing yet determined, Wian took Eli's idea to her people. To her surprise, they agreed to reach out to the settlers. When word spread, both communities gathered in the central clearing. As Wian stood beside Eli, they witnessed the uneasy faces of their neighbors, who were used to seeing each other as foes. But as food and blankets were exchanged, something miraculous happened. The icy barriers began to melt. Eli's presence, alongside Wian's bravery, became a beacon of hope. They realized that together they could survive the storm. And in that moment, Eli and Wian transformed from symbols of division into representatives of unity and healing for both communities. Eli and Wian's journey together illustrates the profound themes of healing and hope in a fractured world. From their initial meeting, tinged with fear and uncertainty, to their shared experiences that transcended cultural barriers, they demonstrated how compassion can break down the walls of prejudice. Their bond not only transformed their individual lives, but also ignited a spark of change within their communities. As the Lakota tribe and the settlers began to embrace the lessons of unity reflected in Eli and Wian's friendship, elements of mistrust shifted toward acceptance. Through their struggle against adversity, Eli and Wian became symbols of resilience, showing that despite differences, people could come together in times of need. Ultimately, their story reminds us that true connection stems from understanding, respect, and kindness. In a world often divided by conflict and misunderstanding, the courage to reach across gaps and embrace one another can lead us toward a brighter future. Healing begins with small acts of compassion, transforming not just individuals, but entire communities, and serving as a beacon of hope for generations to come. Let us carry forth this message, fostering connections that celebrate our shared humanity.